Yesterday there was a summit that united the unions and
Yes.
First Nations and environmentalists,
Yes.
and there's often this divide
Yes.
between environmental groups and unions
Mhm.
because of the loss of jobs. Can you speak to what your conclusions were from yesterday?
Well, yesterday we had a good meeting. I'd like to also add that the Blue-Green Alliance, workers, environment, has been really coming together. There's less friction, less controversy, and both sides are listening to each other. So yesterday was a good example of that, as was the march the day before, where we had over 25,000 people in the streets. We were also in New York, where we had almost 400,000 people in the streets. And again, the Blue-Green Alliance was obvious, and we need to put our differences aside in order to be able to talk with each other and find common solutions.
Well, how do you answer to workers who say they would lose jobs if the pipelines and tar sands don't go through?
Well, that is a concern. There's no doubt that the labor movement will not leave anybody behind. Our intent is to, as I said in the roundtable I participated in just over an hour ago, we want employers, private sector, we want governments to set aside money so that there's retraining available. If people are voluntarily relocated because they have to, work somewhere else, that the cost of relocation for them and their families is taken care of through funds and through money that would be supplied by multinational employers and whoever's involved, in governments, of course.
And there was talks of alternative jobs if these pipelines and tar sands don't continue to expand. What kind of jobs are those?
Well, in renewable, wind, solar, even in the waste industry. If we started, which we should have been doing a long time ago, if we started recycling more, just segregating the waste or the recyclable material creates jobs. And there's no, if there's anything I've learned from being involved in the environmental movement through the labor movement, is that there's more jobs to be had than there are to be lost. It's just a matter of making sure everybody understands that, and there's a direct link for people who will lose their jobs so they can get another job, not just pie in the sky transition with no concrete jobs in the end. There's got to be a link for the people that are losing their jobs.
So are you trying to convince your members to not support the pipelines and tar sands?
No, we're not. Our objective there is mainly when we talk about the tar sands, or the pipelines, we want to make sure that the emissions that are created from the extraction is taken into consideration when we make decisions, well, that's basically it. Our position is we want to make sure that is taken into consideration, that the refining is done in Canada, that there's less reliance on importing, energy or importing petroleum from other countries. If we're going to do things like that, we want it to be for Canada, and we want the jobs to be in Canada. The refining and things like that, as well as taking into consideration the emissions that would be coming out of the extraction itself.
So in terms of Kinder Morgan and the Energy East, those pipeline projects, what's the CLSC's position?
We haven't taken officially positions. We have affiliates like Unifor who represent in those sectors, who have stood against the pipelines out west. Anything that's going south, anything that's taken the natural resource or the petroleum or the bitumen out of the country for refining. No, we're not. The affiliates are not in favor of that, and we are looking at coming down east, but in the context of taking into consideration the emissions that would be created from doing that, and how do we minimize that, and keeping the jobs in Canada, and the petroleum itself should be used in Canada as opposed to being exported.
Okay. So it's not a clear yes or no for the pipeline.
Well, in those contexts, it's yes, right? In the context of reducing emissions, creating jobs in Canada, refining in Canada, keeping the gas here in Canada, yes. But short of that, it's no. Why would we agree to just export it and have the refining done elsewhere and pay like, $1.50 a liter here. I mean, that makes
So
no
no
sense.
to exporting.
That's right.
But yes to the pipelines.
Yes to the pipelines, as long as the stuff stays here, it's refined here, and we minimize the effect, the greenhouse gas emissions that are produced from the process itself.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just in conclusion, I just want to reiterate for us, what's very important is making sure that the workers are taken care of, that the jobs that are created in the renewable industry are good paying jobs that people can live on. 80% of the jobs that were created in the last 5 years are precarious work, part-time across the country. The unemployment rate for young people is twice the national average. Those are issues that we need to take care of, and we think that in renewable energy there's room to create those types of good jobs for people.